All right, everyone, let's dive right in. We're back with another deep dive, and this time, we're zeroing in on something that's got the whole country buzzing.
Chandrayaan-3.
You got it. But we're going beyond just the landing. We're going deep into the science happening at Shiv Shakti Point.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this so exciting. We're not just celebrating a technological win for India.
Right.
The data coming back from Chandrayaan-3, it's actually changing our understanding of the moon, especially its south pole.
So, help me out here. What makes this Shiv Shakti Point so special? I mean, it's just one spot on a pretty big moon.
Well, for starters, it's uncharted territory. India is the first to ever pull off a soft landing at the lunar south pole, a historical feat.
Oh,
Plus, it's not just some barren plain. We're talking about a landscape shaped by craters, some massive ones like Manzinus and Boguslawsky.
okay.
And then there's Schomburger, almost perfectly preserved. It's like a time capsule, these craters.
That's incredible. But how do scientists actually figure out the age of something like a crater or what happened there billions of years ago?
It's like a giant cosmic puzzle, right?
Yeah.
The team at ISRO's Physical Research Laboratory, they're using the data from Pragyan, the rover, and Vikram, the lander, to analyze the site.
They're working together.
Oh yeah, plus they're using high-resolution images from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, all working together to get a clear picture.
Oh,
So they're mapping the terrain in detail, studying the rock fragments scattered around,
yeah.
even looking at these chains of secondary craters, the smaller ones.
So every rock, every little bump on the surface tells a story.
Exactly. And one of the big stories they've uncovered is the age of Shiv Shakti Point itself.
Oh, and what is it?
About 3.7 billion years old. Now get this.
Okay.
That age, 3.7 billion years, it lines up with when scientists think the very first microbial life appeared here on Earth.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking about the possibility of ancient life on the moon?
It's definitely a question that's sparked a lot of curiosity. Can't say for sure, but the timing, it's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, makes you wonder.
Right. It suggests that the moon, well, it might hold clues, maybe very faint ones, about how life begins, even if it was just tiny microbes.
No, okay, this is getting really interesting. So we've got this ancient site, maybe some hints about early life.
Yeah.
What else are they finding at Shiv Shakti Point?
Well, one of the fascinating things they've noticed is the rock concentration. They're seeing a higher density of rocks close to a fresh crater just south of the landing site.
A fresh crater. So does that mean it's younger or something?
Yeah, exactly. And these rocks, they show less space weathering than other areas.
Okay, space weathering. I think I need a quick explanation on that.
Sure, it's actually pretty simple. Think about it. Earth has an atmosphere, right? It protects us from all those tiny meteoroids zooming around and the extreme temperatures out in space.
Makes sense.
Well, the moon doesn't have that luxury. So over billions of years being exposed to space, it really takes a toll on rocks, breaks them down. Ah, I see.
But these rocks near the fresh crater, they haven't been exposed as long, so they're like a snapshot. They're almost pristine.
So they're like time capsules within a time capsule. That's pretty cool. What can these less weathered rocks tell us?
Well, they could give us some really valuable insights into how lunar regolith forms.
Regolith, right. That's that loose, dusty stuff that covers the moon.
Exactly. And understanding how that forms, it's key for future lunar missions.
So it all comes back to those craters we talked about and the whole impact history.
Exactly. It's all connected.
This is incredible. But, how does this connect to our listeners out there, the UPSC aspirants? Will this stuff actually be on the exam?
Oh, absolutely. This is gold for the science and tech sections.
Really?
Think about it. Chandrayaan-3 is showcasing India's space capabilities, which has huge global implications.
Yeah.
You could get questions about the mission itself, the importance of landing at the South Pole, even about basic lunar geology or regolith formation.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, it's not just science. It's a statement about India's place in the world.
Exactly, yeah.
And the UPSC exam, well, it loves to see if you can make those connections between different areas of knowledge.
Okay, now I see how this deep dive is relevant for the exam. It's like a masterclass in connecting science, tech, and current events.
You got it. So before we jump into even more exciting discoveries from Shiv Shakti Point, let's pause for a second. What are some of the key things we've learned so far?
Well, first off, Shiv Shakti Point is old, like 3.7 billion years old, which, get this, coincides with when life emerged on Earth.
Right. That timing is really something.
Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. The scientists are definitely intrigued.
And let's not forget those less weathered rocks near that fresh crater.
Right, right. They could hold a ton of info about how lunar regolith forms, which is super important for future missions to the moon.
Exactly. It seems like every little detail at Shiv Shakti Point, it tells a bigger story.
The story of the moon, the solar system, maybe even the origins of life itself.
That's it. And in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore those bigger implications.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back. We're picking up where we left off with those less weathered rocks near that fresh crater at Shiv Shakti Point.
Right. They're like a window into the moon's past, giving us clues about how that dusty lunar surface, the regolith, actually formed.
Exactly. And speaking of piecing together the past, the scientists have actually created a detailed geological map of the landing site. They've used all that data from the rover, the lander, and even the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter to put it together.
So what does this map reveal? What secrets are hidden in the landscape? Is it just craters, or is there something more to it?
Well, one thing's for sure, it confirms the moon has had a pretty violent history.
I guess that's not surprising. It's
Well,
been hanging out in space for billions of years. But what makes you say that?
Well, remember, the moon doesn't have an atmosphere like Earth does. There's nothing to shield it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's basically been pummeled by asteroids and meteoroids for eons. And this map, it shows just how intensely cratered Shiv Shakti Point is. You see craters of all sizes overlapping each other, telling a story of constant bombardment.
Wow, it's like reading the moon's diary. But instead of words, it's written in craters.
That's a great way to put it. And by studying the size, the shape, and how these craters are distributed, scientists can estimate how often these impacts happened over billions of years.
So it's kind of like counting the rings on a tree, but for the moon's surface. That's fascinating.
Right. It makes you realize how dynamic our solar system really is.
It really does. Now, all this talk about craters and impacts,
Yeah.
is this something our UPSC aspirants need to be aware of for the exam?
Absolutely. Remember, it's all about making connections. Understanding the forces that shaped the moon's surface can give us insights into how the early solar system evolved,
Oh, I see.
including how Earth formed. It's all part of a bigger cosmic narrative.
So we're not just learning about the moon, we're learning about our own planet's history, too.
Exactly. And that's not all. The fact that Chandrayaan-3 landed on the moon's south pole is a pretty big deal, and there are a few reasons why.
Okay, tell me more about the South Pole. What's so special about it?
Well, scientists believe there could be vast amounts of water ice trapped in these permanently shadowed craters down there.
Wait, are you serious? Water ice on the moon?
Totally serious. And this water ice, it could be a game changer for future lunar missions.
Really? How so?
Well, we're talking about potential drinking water, fuel, even oxygen, all those essentials needed for a long-term human presence on the moon.
Whoa, this is starting to sound like science fiction. Are we really talking about humans living on the moon someday?
It's not as far-fetched as you might think. This South Pole is a prime spot for lunar outposts, maybe even settlements.
Wow.
And Chandrayaan-3, it's laying the groundwork by gathering all this crucial data about the area's environment and what kind of resources are available.
So this mission isn't just about exploring the moon for the sake of it. It's about humanity's future in space. That's pretty profound.
It really is. And there's another reason why the South Pole is so interesting. It's a unique vantage point for astronomical observations.
But didn't you say some craters down there are permanently shadowed? How can you observe the stars if you're in the dark?
Great question. While some areas are always in shadow, others actually receive near constant sunlight.
Oh, I see.
So that makes them perfect spots for setting up solar-powered observatories.
Ah, makes sense.
Imagine telescopes on the moon with no Earth's atmosphere to get in the way.
That would be incredible. We could see so much farther and clearer.
Exactly. The possibilities are truly exciting.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm starting to see why this mission is so important and why it matters for our UPSC aspirants out there. It's about science, technology, global cooperation, and even humanity's future beyond Earth. It's all connected.
That's exactly right. So for all you future IAS officers out there, make sure you're brushing up on Chandrayaan-3, what's so special about the lunar South Pole, and what India's growing presence in space exploration really means. It's all relevant for the exam.
Great advice. Now, before we move to the final part of our deep dive, let's do a quick recap of the key points we've covered so far. What are the big takeaways here?
Well, we've learned that the moon's south pole is a really unique place with the potential for water ice, future human settlements, and maybe even astronomical observatories.
And let's not forget that incredibly detailed geological map, which revealed just how violent the moon's history has been.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that space is a dynamic and ever-changing place.
It really is.
And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some of the even bigger implications of these discoveries, so stick around.
And we're back for the final leg of our deep dive. We've traveled through billions of years, explored ancient craters, and even considered the possibility of life on the moon.
And now it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture, the really mind-blowing stuff.
Okay, I'm ready to have my mind blown. What are we talking about here?
Think of the moon like a giant time capsule. It's preserved a record of what happened billions of years ago, events that probably shaped our own planet, too.
So by studying those craters, the rocks, the regolith,
Yeah.
we're putting together a timeline of the early solar system.
Exactly. The moon holds the key to understanding how our cosmic neighborhood came to be.
And not just our neighborhood, but Earth's own history, right?
Absolutely. Every new discovery we make on the moon adds a piece to the puzzle of how Earth became the planet we know and love, the planet teeming with life.
It really makes you appreciate how connected everything is. You know, you mentioned something even more profound earlier, the search for life beyond Earth.
Right. If we find evidence, even just hints, that life might have existed on the moon.
Even tiny microbes.
Exactly. It opens up so many possibilities for where else life could exist in the universe.
It's not just about finding aliens on Mars or something.
No, not at all. It's about understanding that life might be far more common and adaptable than we ever thought.
So if life could survive on the moon, with its harsh environment and all those impacts,
Right.
then maybe it could exist on other planets and moons that we thought were too hostile.
Exactly. It changes everything.
Makes you wonder, what other secrets are hidden beneath the surface at Shiv Shakti Point or other unexplored parts of the moon?
Who knows what else is waiting to be discovered?
What other clues about the early solar system or maybe even life itself are out there?
That's what's so amazing about science. It's a never-ending journey of discovery. Missions like Chandrayaan-3 are pushing those boundaries, inspiring us to ask even bigger questions.
And for our UPSC aspirants listening, this is a prime example of how science and technology are changing the world. Understanding these advancements is crucial for future leaders, anyone who wants to shape tomorrow's India.
Absolutely. Chandrayaan-3 is not just about scientific achievement. It's about ambition, technological skill, and India taking its place on the world stage.
It's inspiring. So, to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to dig deeper into the Chandrayaan-3 story. Read that fantastic article in the Indian Express. Let your curiosity be your guide.
That's right.
And for even more deep dives into the topics that matter, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep reaching for the stars.